All right, good evening, parents. Thank you so much for joining us. I understand that we have a few who have joined us. If we want to wait maybe 1 or 2 more minutes, I try to be cognizant of everyone's time. And we have a presentation to cover and then answer any questions. So, Ms. Denny, we'll just wait like 1 or 2 more minutes and then we'll get started.
Certainly.
Thank you. Parents, while we're waiting, if you don't mind, you will need to utilize the Q&A for any questions that you have, and our team will be answering them as they pop up. But if you don't mind, if you can go ahead and put your name in the chat, in the Q&A, and your student's grade level, that would be great for us to know. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Again, welcome to all of our parents who have taken the time to join us this evening. I am Mrs. Sims, the TAG chair at Western Guilford Middle School, and I'm also the sixth grade counselor. We have part of our team joining us this evening, some teachers who took the time in their schedule to be here with us. If you guys don't mind, just say your name and your grade level and what you teach.
I am Melissa Mann, and I am in 7th grade ELA and Social Studies.
Thanks, Ms. Mann.
I'm Julie Pirtle. I'm new to Western. I teach 8th grade English Language Arts.
Thanks, Ms. Pirtle.
I am Mr. Avant. I teach 6th grade Language Arts and Social Studies. And hello, Mrs. Ludman. How are
you? And we have helping us, really running things for me, because this is my first time doing a Teams live meeting, Miss Denny. Do you want to introduce yourself, Miss Denny?
Hello, I'm Ms. Denny. I'm the media specialist at Western Guilford, so it's lovely to see/hear y'all today.
Also, Mrs. Brown is here. Principal Brown is listening in as a attendee, apparently.
Yes, she is. Thank you all for being here, and Miss Denny is kind of going to man things behind the scene for me. We have a presentation to share with you all, and then we will briefly go over your students' annual plans, not individually, but as a grade level. And then if you have any questions, like I said, please feel free to put them in the Q&A, and if we can answer them, publicly, if it's something that everyone will benefit for, please, Mr. Avent, let us know. If not, you can just answer them individually. Sounds good? All right,
Good.
We're ready, Miss Denny. Okay, so the reason why we're meeting is because it's an annual middle school AG parent meeting that we are required to have for all students and their parents who are academically gifted. We want to go over the services that the district offers for your AG students, as well as what we specifically do at Western Guilford Middle. Being identified AG and the services that you receive are a little different when your student gets to middle school. And so we want to make sure that everyone knows what is going on with their children when they're in class. And then, of course, for 7th and 8th grade, if you have been here before, then you know the information, but it's always helpful to hear it again. All right, so let's first talk about what academically gifted is. At all Guilford County schools will have equitable opportunities for students to engage in rigorous learning. Processes and procedures for academically gifted services will be commonly understood by the school community and the community at large. So we are required to make sure that you understand the services that your child or children have qualified for as being identified AG, and then what we are doing to meet those requirements. So the AG plan that I'm going over this evening went into effect last year, 2019, and it's good for 3 years. So what we're discussing tonight is the part of the plan that started in 2020, and then it will continue on. Until 2022. Next, Ms. Danny. Like I said, the plan was implemented in 2019, and there were 3 areas that were covered, but the 2 that we will talk about tonight are the ones that are taking place from this year and on. So that will be increasing availability of advanced coursework, as well as teacher recruitment and development. Next, Ms. Danny, thank you. All right, so as you can see, under increasing availability of advanced coursework, the main difference, for middle school is that standard district-wide annual plans for differentiation in ELA and math. The differentiation techniques and strategies that the teachers are using are from Open Up Math. We're also going to define advanced ELA, and then help you understand the components that we're using. If anyone has ever heard of ARC, I'm not sure what that stands for, Mr. Avent or Ms. Pirtle.
It's
American.
It is a reading program that is written and distributed and provide us with training by a company called American Reading Company.
Yes, I thought that's what it was. Thank you, American Reading Company. And then we, in middle school, we increase your students' access to high school course offerings in English. And then we are also increasing our participation for the Duke Talent Tip program, and I'll get into that just a little bit more. You can see on the screen also for high school, because this will help you to know when your student gets there, that your child will get more AP course offerings. There is a pre-AP English class and pre-AP biology class, and then of course you take some honors classes in there as well. Next. All right, our second and last bucket is teacher recruitment and development. Next slide, Ms. Danny. So a couple of things that I want to highlight for you is that the AG department requires all teachers who are teaching AG students to either have an add-on licensure or to have received their AG certification. So there are 2 ways that you can do that. On the screen, it shows the scholarship opportunities open to all K-8 core teachers. That would allow them to get their AG add-on licensure. They have to complete some graduate coursework. Right now, the AG department has partnered with Duke University, and that scholarship is being offered there. There is support to pilot the initiative where all teachers in a Title I school would be able to obtain their add-on licensure. I don't have any more details about that because as far as I've been told, they're still in the pilot discussing phase, but it would just be, I guess, if a teacher submitted for their school and then there is a process to determine who would win that, then everyone in that Title I school would be able to receive their add-on licensure as part of that pilot program. The AG plan states that teachers of AG students, like I said, must hold their licensure or at a minimum complete the local requirements for the PD series. So when we say PD series, that's a weekend class. Right now it's being offered on Saturdays for 2 Saturdays and or on like teacher work days. So what the teacher does is that they sit through these course offerings for 2 classes, and we'll get into which 2 classes that is. And once they do that, they have their certificate. Next one, Miss Danny. Okay, so under teacher recruitment and development, what we can see on the screen is that the Teaching, Learning, and Professional Development Department. This division consists of all the curriculum departments. Each department will make sure that professional development is offered through their department so that teachers can receive what they need in order to teach your students. The department is in the process of revising their curriculum to ensure that enrichment and extension opportunities are embedded. The AG department does anticipate these initiatives to be fully implemented with this current school year, 2020-2021. They have stated also that by the end of this plan, the AG department will offer a special one-day session to teachers from across the district on specific population topics that are being offered up on the slide on the right-hand side. Next, Miss Danny. Okay, so when the plan went into place in 2019, the district brought in a professional and it was an outside person to kind of take a look at the AG department. And based on the 4 findings that you can see the bullets at the top, the person that they talked to was Colin Seal, and he is an achievement gap closure educator. His work is to dedicate to the elimination of barriers that prevent all students from accessing and excelling in quality programs. So the findings that he had after observing the AG department, he said that GCS's screening and identification policies and procedures paired with substantial talent development efforts, particularly for underrepresented students, encompass almost every single best practice for equity used across the nation in gifted education. So he did have something positive to say about what we are doing to make sure that AG services are for all students, especially those that are underrepresented. Next. All right, so I'm going to share with you my AG supervisor contact in case you have any questions about something that I just mentioned and the workings of the AG department. Dr. D. Jordan is the contact for middle school, and her number is up on the screen, or you are more than welcome to send her an email. Her email is also up on the screen. Next, Miss Danny, any questions, Mr. Avant?
Not at this time.
Okay, awesome. All right, so now we're going to talk about providing support to your students and their families. Next one, Miss Danny. So the big difference between AG services at middle school and elementary school is that unlike elementary schools where there's a person in the building who is a specialist and they handle all AG matters, in middle school, academically gifted is addressed through a collaboration of multiple people in the building. So that would be the classroom teacher, the curriculum facilitator, and then our team for academically gifted. And I'll get in further as to who those persons are. But we want to make sure that parents know you have more than one contact here in middle school. Like we said, in elementary school, there is a specific AG teacher, but when we get to middle school, there is going to be a team that's here to support your student and your family. Next. So what is the function of TAG? TAG is an interdisciplinary team comprised of, like we said, school staff, and we also have a parent representative. We support and advocate for gifted education in the school system. We review data to determine students' eligibility for AG services. And then we also monitor AG students, their records, and services. Our TAG team does meet monthly, and the TAG chair serves as the lead contact person in the school for the AG services that are being taught at your student's school. Next. So on the screen is our current school year's TAG team. Myself, I am the TAG chair. Our principal designee is Mr. Arrington. He is our 8th grade assistant principal. I'm not sure if he's on the call. Our 6th grade representative is Mrs. Hobson. She is our math and science teacher in 6th grade. Our 7th grade rep, we have 2. We have Miss Mann, who is on the call, and we have Miss Trimble, who is the 7th grade math teacher. Miss Mann teaches ELA and social studies. 8th grade, we have Miss Purtle, who's on the call. She is our ELA teacher. And then we're proud to have our parent representative, Mrs. Ludman. She is a 6th grade AG parent. So she was willing to join us this year as the parent representative. The main thing that we want our parent rep to know is that you are the voice for our AG students as well as families. So she is encouraged to share with us any concerns that she has, anything that she thinks would benefit us as a TAG team so that we can better assist all of our students. And you're more than welcome to contact her and let her know of any concerns that you have, and she will bring them to the meeting with us every month. We have a couple of advising members. Like I said, I'm the 6th grade counselor, but we also have Miss Murray. She is our 8th grade counselor, and she serves as the counselor on the TAG team, as well as our 504 coordinator. We have Mr. Hurley, who is our EC teacher. And then we have Miss E-Man. She is our ESL teacher. They attend our meetings when we are specifically talking about an AG student who is either also EC or ESL, to make sure that we're getting the services, that they are getting the services that they need. Next, Miss Denny. Okay, so a couple of ways that our team communicates with parents. As needed information is shared via the AG Parent Remind Group. Most parents were added this year. I think we have upwards of maybe 30 or so parents already on our Remind Group. If you have not signed up or received any information about joining the Remind Group, it is there on your screen. I do encourage you to use it because Remind is the platform that we are using this year to communicate with all of our families. Teachers have Remind groups. The school has a Remind group, and so I also have one there. It's the best way to make sure that everybody is getting the information that they need. Additionally, a monthly and or quarterly, I think like last year, the district changed it to maybe quarterly, but there is a newsletter that is sent out. I do send that out via the Remind group, and then we also post it onto the Western Guilford Middle School website. There is under Parents, a newly created tab that says Academically Gifted. So parents are welcome to go there and find any helpful information that will help their student. But again, I send those things out via Remind. Next, Ms. Denny. Okay, so as far as support at the district level, like I said, we have the AG department. That is Miss Jordan. She's the AG supervisor. This department provides support to schools and families with identification and service for their AG students, specifically in grades 6 through 8. Next. If you do have questions or concerns, we have up on the screen who it is that you can contact. Always, first and foremost, if you have a question about your student and anything that's going on in the classroom, please talk with your child and then get an understanding of what's going on. You're always welcome to contact the classroom teacher so that you can share with them whatever it is that your child is going through or the questions that you have. After that, you are more than welcome to contact myself and or Mr. Arrington or Ms. Brown if you have additional questions. And then for the AG department, we have Ms. Jordan, who is our supervisor, and the director of the AG department is Ms. Debrell Tourette. Those two persons are the ones from the district level who you are more than welcome to contact if you have not gotten maybe your question resolved or if you have additional questions after speaking to one of the two persons ahead of them. Thanks, Ms. Denny. Next. So at the community level, the AG department wants you to know about Guilford County Partners for the Advancement of Gifted Education. It's known as PAGE. This is an organization that advocates for the advancement of gifted education. And on the next screen, I have included some information so that you can go to the link for Guilford County PAGE. They are seeking members currently to serve on their board. Typically, it's about $15 for a family to join, $5 for an educator to join. I don't know what they are currently doing because of the pandemic. Last year, we received quite a bit of information for them because they come into schools, they do things for teachers. So I'm not sure what they're doing this year because of COVID, but you are encouraged to join. I joined as an educator last year, and I received some helpful information for them. So their information is up on the screen. Next, Ms. Denny. All right, so let's talk about an overview of middle school AG services, and we will talk specifically about what your student is receiving here at Western Guilford Middle. So the entirety of the Gifted Students Day is spent in a general education setting. Therefore, the responsibility for differentiation is with the classroom teacher. So again, remember, if you are a 6th grade parent in elementary school, your student was pulled out so that they could get the services that they needed. In middle school, we don't do that. They are in the classroom for the duration of the entire teaching time, and they would receive differentiated services while they are in the classroom. If your student is identified AG in math, they're in 6th grade, then they could quite possibly be sitting in an Ames class, or they would be in Accelerated Math 6. They can also be identified AG in ELA, then they would be taking advanced ELA. Once you get to 7th and 8th grade, there are some advanced classes as well. Your student could either take advanced ELA 7 or 8, accelerated math 7 or 8, or they could be taking math 1 or math 2. Next, Ms. Denny. So on the screen is our current AG roster and class schedule for this school year. Right now, we have 19 students who are identified AG in the 6th grade, 37 students identified in the 7th grade, and 35 students identified in the 8th grade. And then we have broken down for you, just so you know, the number of classes that we have offered. There is 1 Ames class, 6 accelerated math classes, 1 Math 1 class, 1 Math 2 class, and 9 advanced ELA classes. Now, bear in mind this number is from names that were given at the 20th day mark when we started school. So it is a fluid number because we've had some students transition, we've had some students withdraw for whatever reason, and then we also have new enrollments coming in throughout the year. So that number, these numbers on the screen could easily change at any given time. Thank you, Ms. Denny. So schools are given guidance for how to group AG students in classes. AIG students will be grouped with their similarly achieving peers in the fewest grade level classrooms possible and placed in the advanced ELA or accelerated math course according to their area of identification and district placement. In a heterogeneously grouped science and social studies classes, all students are clustered by ability such that any given classroom has a minimum number of ability levels for which to differentiate instruction. To the extent possible, AG students enrolled in a standard level math or ELA class should be grouped together per grade level. So basically what that just says is that your students are in classrooms still receiving the advanced coursework, but not everyone in their class could be identified AG. They are grouped according to their level, not necessarily their status. So on the screen, remember we said that teachers of AG students, that they have to either hold their licensure or meet the minimum local requirements. Right now at Western Guilford Middle School, we have 2 teachers who have received their AG licensure. And then we have a total of 7 teachers who meet the local requirements. They possibly took the 2-day PD series. And again, this number is fluid because we have teachers who are enrolled in later courses. So this number could easily change at any point during the school year. So 2 things, terms that we want to make sure parents are familiar with. We have the DEP. You could hear that mentioned at any point from myself or from your child's teacher. That is the differentiated education plan. This communicates in which classes an individual student receives their AG differentiation. When your student left elementary school, the AG teacher would sign on the DEP saying this is the curriculum that your student needs to take. If there was a change, you had to initial it and agree to it and then send it back. If there was no change, you just got a copy of it and it stayed that way all the way through elementary school. Same thing in middle school. If your student is identified AG in math, they will stay on that specific path until they get to 8th grade. Parents only receive an updated DEP if there is some type of change in their child's plan. The second term is the intellectually gifted differentiation education plan. This communicates how students identified as intellectually gifted will be served. Again, it's basically 2 different terms. It's just a student is either identified AG or a student is identified as intellectually gifted. Again, bear in mind that you won't receive a copy if there has not been a change. We would just mark on there, no change, your student goes on to the next grade. The only time you receive a copy is when there has been a change, and then you need to sign off and agree to it and send it back to us. Next, how are we doing, Mr. Avent? Awesome. Okay, so for the 2019-2020, the new AG plan, the district provides group annual plans for differentiation for both accelerated math and ELA. So it is currently posted on the district's website. Revised advanced ELA units specifically address best instructional practices for students enrolled in these courses. For both ELA and math, the classroom teacher provides a summary of how they will differentiate content, process, and product in terms of acceleration, extension, and enrichment. So really what that boils down to is all of our AG teachers, they had to put down on paper what their plan is. to teach your students. Again, they're in the classroom with others, so the differentiated plan has to take place while your student is in the classroom. So the annual plans that Ms. Denny's going to pull up for us will just give you an overview of what the teachers are doing for your students to make sure that they are receiving the curriculum that they need. And remember that these plans are posted on our school website for you to look at further, and you're welcome to print them. Do you have them, Ms. Denny?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. 1 second.
Awesome, thank you. Just let us know which one you're pulling up, Ms. Denny. It should be, yes, there we go. Okay, what grade is that?
8th grade.
8th grade.
8th grade, awesome. So Ms. Pirtle, if you can see it, if you just want to highlight a couple of things off of here so that parents will know what their students are receiving, that'd be great.
Miss Denny, is there any way to make this bigger? I don't even think with my glasses off I can see that.
How's that?
I can see it.
Yeah, it's a little, is that as big as it can? There we go. Is that?
Oh wait, what'd you do? Oh, that's much better. Okay, I can see that.
Okay.
All right, so as it was stated in the introduction that Ms. Sims just gave, there are 3 ways to differentiate education for an academically or an intellectually gifted student. And that's either the content, the delivery of the content, the process, or the product. And so Ms. Lewis and I worked together in the 8th grade English department, and she has some of the AG students and I have some of the AG students. The content differentiation, you'll see. Okay, so the acceleration is we expose the kids to 9th grade standards and hold them accountable to 9th grade level work. Our goal is to have them enter 9th grade so proficient in English that the English teachers say, "Who in the world did you have for 8th grade?" So that they're like, "Oh, you went to Western. Yes, we know about them." And then the extensions, student assignment of stretch text based on upper level of the student lexile band. So in ARC, we give the children a assessment called the IRLA. And the IRLA is the Independent Reading Level Assessment, based on vocabulary, comprehension, and inference skills, as well as fluency and automaticity. We are able to identify the zone of proximal development, ZPD. That's a teacher term, but you need to know it. The zone of proximal development for your child. And they read within this band, which is, it's been divided into a billion ways. There's grade level, there's lexile, there's Fontes and Pinnell. Well, we do ARC. And for 7th and 8th grade students, they are in 1 bronze, 2 bronze. For 6th grade students, they are in purple. For 5th grade students, they are in orange. And we have kids who are reading within 12 grade levels at Western. And so our AG students specifically are reading higher levels. Now, I will caution you, as they begin to get into higher levels of books, they also encounter different contexts, content, and situations. It is never our intention to challenge your family's values. And Ms. Lewis and I both feel that if your child is reading a book and you question whether it's appropriate, please contact us. we can provide or help them find alternative reading. But when you open a library door and say, find a book that interests you, middle schoolers find books that interest them, even though it might make your skin crawl a little bit. The enrichment comes when we provide them with open-ended questions, even though our end of grade test is multiple choice and has a kind of a definite answer. In class, we do lots of Socratic seminars, also known as Paideia. We also do open discussion and open-ended answers. We both, Ms. Lewis and I both try to compact the curriculum by assessing what they know as they come to us or we begin a new unit, and then squeezing in on the stuff they show us that they can do, the standards that they're successful with, and expanding on standards that lead them into the 9th grade or 10th grade. Process differentiation includes lots of collaboration, as I said, discussions and Socratic seminars. And for individuals, we can even give them almost like an independent study by providing them with a contract where we contract with the individual student to work independently if they show us that that's where they need to work. Product differentiation, the students are given choices in how they present research. We're working on a research project currently for the American Revolution. It's not necessarily a research paper. It can be a video show, it can be a PowerPoint, it can be just a wealth of things that we're going to be providing them the opportunity to choose and guiding them towards those. I'm very pleased to be an AG teacher. I raised 3 AG children myself, and I think they're awesome, awesome people. And I'm really thrilled to be back in 8th grade chatting with the best of our kids.
Thank you so much, Ms. Pirtle. Thank you. That was wonderful. And we're happy to have you, very happy to have you. Miss Mann teaches ELA and social studies in 7th grade. She was a 6th grade teacher last year, so if your babies were in 6th grade then, they may have had her. Miss Denny, yes, if we can pull up 7th grade, I keep wanting to say 6 for you, Miss Mann. If we can pull up 7th grade, and Miss Mann, you're welcome to share what the students will be receiving in 7th grade.
Yes. Can you give me 1 second? My daughter is stuck in her pajamas.
Okay.
What? What in the world? I apologize.
Okay.
It's hard when you get your arm stuck up in the neck hole.
I'm
and you
sure, I've done that.
get it back. Okay, so I have the pleasure of teaching an advanced language arts class in 7th grade, and we kind of make our advanced classes different from our regular education language arts classes by the text that we use. So we are using an accelerated text for our core novel. In the launch unit, we were reading Call of the Wild, and we are still reading Call of the Wild, and that is actually a 9th grade level text. So we are using an advanced level text, and we move at a faster pace. So we're covering a few more standards a little more quickly. And for units 3 and 4, which will hit in the spring, we will have some 8th grade standards. And then we are, for our core text for the research lab that we're in right now, we're using an 8th grade text. So we're just trying to accelerate the level of text that we're using and the vocabulary that goes with it. We're using pre-assessments to see where they still need the, the focus of instruction, and to see the growth. And then we hope to include some more SAT and ACT type vocabulary terms through Nearpod. And then writing is going to incorporate the use of the MLA format. We actually started doing that this past week. with citations in MLA format. And once we are back in the face-to-face, we will use more of the Socratic seminar styles, but it's a little bit hard with the virtual. I'm sure Ms. Pirtle can speak to that. It's difficult with the virtual. And then also, Ms. Denny, can you scroll down a little bit? For the product, yeah, so for the product, the end result is going to look a little different for the kids because they're going to have a lot more choice. So rather than just being told, like for this research unit, initially the research lab says to have them make a book. Well, they've made a book every year since they were in the 3rd grade for the ARC research labs. So we wanted to change that, and so they have a choice board. So they can make a movie, they can make a book, they can make a brochure, they can make a virtual presentation, they can make a advertisement, they can make a movie trailer, they can, they could do a podcast. So all different types of things. So it'll really be up to them. And, there's really very few limitations in terms of what their final product can be. It just has to somehow convey their research. So that's one way that there really will be more product differentiation. So that's our plan for 7th grade.
Thank you. All right, and then last but not least, we have Mr. Avent. He is one of our 6th grade ELA teachers, and he will be sharing what your students' plan looks like in 6th grade.
It's very, very similar to what my 2 colleagues have already said regarding ARC, the differentiation of material and the speed that we do it in. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. There's really just like in 7th and 8th, when we do a class-wide book, it's usually it's always at a higher level. And students are expected to be reading their ARC books at a reasonable rate of speed, and what we cover in class is at a quicker and more complex rate.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Avent. So I know that we don't have one of our math teachers here. I am not skilled enough in that area to answer any questions as it relates to math.
Else right now, okay, baby?
If anyone has a question about math, please feel free to put it in the Q&A and we can make sure and answer that. I will say that for math, and my teachers can help me out here, that there are new books. Is it every unit?
This is Mr. Avent. Miss Sims is Miss Sims. Miss Hobson is normally the 6th grade representative to these meetings. She was unavailable tonight, and she does teach Ames math. And their books are they're doing 6th and 7th grade material in Ames, and they're going through about 2 to 3 books for every one of a standard 6th grade math class.
And what about 7th and 8th? Miss Mann or Miss Pirtle, do you know? Or can you share? Okay, well, I said all that to say, that's okay. If your student doesn't have their book, please feel free to call up to the school or let your teacher know, and we can make sure that they receive their books. I do want to ask, and any teacher can answer this question because I have gotten a few phone calls and emails, and I'm sure that it's across the board. One thing that I heard you all say consistently is the pace. It's fast-paced. It's fast-paced because, again, it's an accelerated or advanced class, and you are teaching probably a grade level above the student. What do you have, any of you, as a recommendation for our students who may be struggling because of the remote learning as far as doing advanced or accelerated?
I would say reach out to your teachers. Don't drown by yourself. Don't struggle and not tell anyone. And I've told my students this many times, we can't see you and we're not home with you. So we don't see the struggle that's happening when you're working, which is so different from when we're in the classroom. When we're in the classroom and you're working on something, you can physically see when a kid gets frustrated. You can see when they start to shut down. We can't see that at all now. So if you don't tell us that, we don't know that. So that would be my first step, is definitely reach out to your teachers. Let us know what's going on. We are here to help. That's my number one job priority, is to help you be successful. So let us know that. But then also prioritize your time. Don't let the time get away from you. I think that happens a lot. And I think for a lot of academically gifted kids in elementary school, they didn't have to work quite as hard as some of their peers. And so they didn't necessarily study as much. And there was kind of this comes easier to me. And in middle school, that kind of sometimes shifts because we are moving so much faster and we are doing grade level ahead work. And so because in elementary school, they were only receiving AG services when they were pulled out. And so there was only those AG services in a very small amount of time at a very specific, time frame. Whereas here in middle school, it's all class long. So they need to, make sure they stay on top of things and stay focused on those things. But also I would just say to read as much as you can. Do not stop reading. And I know that a lot of kids are struggling with that at home. And I know that Ms. Pirtle and myself, and I think Mr. Avon as well, have created tons of online libraries and resources. They have lots of access to Epic and Ms. Denny's created Destiny, created great access for Destiny and for the Junior Library Guild. So there's a lot of ways they can get books, and it's more important than ever for them to continue to read.
I would like to just piggyback a little bit on Ms. Mann's comments. Something that I'm watching my brightest students fall into with COVID and online learning. We are being very gracious with deadlines and due dates, and our assignments online are staying open extra time. Some of my brightest kids are looking at that extended time and saying, oh, well, it's not due until the 16th, so I don't have to do it right now. When actually that's the date that the assignment closes. The due date is actually about 5 days after it was assigned. And I start sending out messages through Canvas that you've not finished this assignment. And they're all upset because, what? You're sending me this before it's due. No, I'm sending you this before it closes. There's a difference. And a lot of these children, because the parents are working, and God bless you parents, I'm so thankful my kids are gone and out of the house, because I could not do online learning and online teaching and all of us survive. It just couldn't happen. But you parents are doing a fantastic job. But what I'm seeing is that sometimes the kids are not being as attentive or faithful to attending class as they should be. Maybe they think that they've already got this, it's just review. I know that in the spring, when we went all of a sudden to remote learning, everybody was thrown under the bus. And a lot of teachers told their students, well, it doesn't matter if you attend the class as long as you do your work. We're not in that situation anymore. It does matter that they do their work, and it matters that they attend the class. What they get, even with me on a computer, is going to help them tomorrow and next month and next quarter. They have to attend the class. If they're having trouble staying on top of their assignments, They can use the calendar in Canvas. Their assignments go on that calendar and they can keep track of when they're due. They can use a paper planner, just like we would if we were in school. Write those assignments down when they're given and write down the actual date they're due, not the date they close. I have those assignments open extra days so that if they do, I don't believe that grades should ever be a gotcha. So if they turn something in and it's not the best quality, and I don't feel like they've done their best, they have that extra wiggle room to redo the assignment and make it better. It's not to put off and say, oh, well, it's really not due till here. They're getting in really big trouble because they are not, it's a snowball situation.
Mm-hmm.
They lay off on one assignment and then all of a sudden they've got 2 assignments and then they've got 3 assignments. And I've had a couple, not in my AG class, but a couple of children say, look, yours isn't the only class we have. We've got work to do in other classes. I understand that. You have work to do in mine as well. And what Ms. Mann said about reading, I cannot stress that enough. Reading is a skill just like throwing free throws. You're not going to get better at shooting free throws by sitting on the couch and saying, oh, wow, I wish I could throw free throws. You have to get up there, stand at the line, sight the net, aim the ball, and shoot thousands of them and miss hundreds of them so that you can make a few of them. And reading is the same way. They have to read. And if they're coming, have them read aloud to you. If they read aloud to you, they should be reading like the best audible presenter out there as best they can. No robot voices. Pay attention to punctuation. Pay attention to words. If they don't know what the word is, that's the time to figure it out. Don't let them make up a word and keep moving. Sometimes they're really good at that, and the word they make up actually fits. But if it doesn't, they've got to figure it out because it can change the whole context of the story. So reading, manage their time, get enough sleep. Nobody should be turning in assignments at 2 a.m. It's happening.
I like going last because all my answers have already been taken. So everything that they said, especially with the missing work and the reading every day, but I've had with some of my students this year some very positive experiences. I've had a young lady that called me at Barnes and Nobles and said, which of these books should I get? I've had students who have said, I know I want to read How to Train Your Dragon, but I can't find it. That kid has the book now. And I know I'm speaking for Ms. Mann and Ms. Pirtle as well. If we hear from a student, I want a book, we're going to bend over backwards. And we're going to get that book in that kid's hand, whether it be an epic or if a book shows up on his porch or whatever, that kid's getting the book. And I think that's part of the advanced is solving a problem. I had a student yesterday who was doing a missing assignment. I didn't realize it had closed. He figured out another way of submitting it. That's more important than the assignment. The fact that he solved a problem is advanced learning.
Thank you all. I appreciate that. I think a lot of parents appreciated what you shared as well, because it has been a struggle, as we know, for all of our students and teachers being remote, and your words kind of help them, because if they, like, I think it was Ms. Mann, we're saying we don't see you, we don't know what's going on at home. And so they're just teaching, which is what they're supposed to do. But then in the house, the parents are seeing the other end, where the child is frustrated, where the child is stressed, where the child is upset. They feel like they're falling behind, or they can't understand this math concept, or this book is too hard for them. And so we have to make sure that we stay in communication. Parents, if you see something going on at home that we have no idea about, please reach out to your child's teacher and let them know, because again, we're a team. We are all a team, and we want every student to succeed. So thank you all again for sharing those tips.
Miss
for
Sims, can I add one thing?
Mhm.
The other thing I would encourage, especially since now that they're in middle school, they're starting to get older, and especially as they make this transition to high school and college, is to really encourage your children to advocate for themselves. We love hearing from parents, and it's great to hear from parents, but I have to tell you, when a student takes the initiative to contact me and say, like, hi, Miss Mann, I'm having trouble with such and such. How should I do this? Or can you help me with such and such? I mean, of course, I'm always inclined to help them regardless of who it is who contacts me. But then there's that extra, like, wow, okay, you just showed me that you're taking the steps, you're taking the initiative. And so, that's really important. We don't want kids to think that their parents are going to be sending emails for them when they're in college. We want the kids to know that it's their responsibility, it's their education, and they have to be their number one advocate. And then parents and us, and we all have to work together. But please encourage your kids. Like I had said before, we can't see it. So when your kid is struggling, please encourage them to reach out to us. I know we will all be willing to do one-on-one conferences with our kids, and I've had them with kids who were struggling, and some of my best interaction have been with those one-on-one kids, where we've been able to just talk and figure out what's going on and why things are hard. And I had a student who had fallen behind, and she and I just sat on the computer for like an hour and a half completing work together. And I now know that kid is going to work that much harder for me because we have that connection, and because she knows I'm willing to put in that time as well. And she attends every one of my live sessions. So I think it's important that that kids reach out and take a hold of that lifeline that we're over here throwing so far.
Thank you, Ms. Mann. So I will put this in right now. It wasn't part of our presentation, but I know that it's important that we also share for those students who did not do well first quarter. You may have received a invitation when you picked up your child's report card or when it came in the mail. That is for our Saturday Academy. It allows them to work on assignments during the second quarter. It's not to replace their second quarter work because it's on Saturday, but they can obtain up to, is it 10 points? They can obtain up to 12 points that will be added to their second quarter grade. And so when first and second quarter are put together, then the hope is that their semester grade will go up. So Saturday Academy begins the first round begins this Saturday. Parents, if you receive the notification, and it is for students who were failing, let me first say that. If you received that, parent, and you wanted to sign your student up, I hope you clicked on the link. If not, you're welcome to call myself or one of their teachers, because it does begin on this Saturday. The student must attend for all 4 Saturdays. The second round is December 18th, I believe. Let's see.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, so the first round is the 14th and the 21st. Then we skip Thanksgiving, and then December 5th and 12th. And then the second round begins December 19th.
Ms. Sims, you're muted.
Sorry. The second round begins December 19th, and then it runs until, correct me if I'm wrong, the 16th of January. Does that sound familiar to you guys? Mm-hmm. Yes, Ms. Purtle is nodding. Thank you. So again, parents, your student is encouraged, if they got the invitation, to take advantage of that. Again, they must attend for all 4 Saturdays, and it doesn't replace the work that they are required to do for second quarter. It's just an add-on to that, if that makes sense. All right, how are we doing, Mr. Avent?
Good. Once I find my mute button. We are having no questions. I have received a couple of texts from parents who were not able to get on, and I did inform them that it was being recorded.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, Ms. Denny. So we can go back to the presentation, please. We're almost done, parents. Let's see where we are. Yes, that one right there. Okay, so there are a couple of required documents in the AG services, and this is specifically for parents with sixth graders, or if your student is new to Guilford County. So as you remember, I mentioned the DEP, which is the Differentiated Education Plan. Typically, when they're in sixth grade, the parent has to sign it and then send it back. So due to COVID, everything was handled electronically. You should have received an email from me so that you can look over their DEP, and then you had to complete a Microsoft form to say that you accept the services your child will be receiving, and that confirmation that I got was your quote unquote signature for the DEP. If there is someone out there who did not receive an email from me, please contact me to let me know, and I'll be more than happy to look into why. Again, it's only for our children who are sixth grade, or you are new to Guilford County schools, like seventh and eighth grade, you came from another school. And then for those students who were previously identified, that's our current seventh and eighth grade students, there will be no change, like I said, to their DEP. So we didn't have to send one out, and so all parents have access to the AG annual plan, which our teachers just went over. Again, we usually pass those out if we were meeting face to face, but because of the pandemic, everything is being held electronically or virtually. And then I make sure on their plan that it says no change to the DEP, because while they're going through middle school, there really is no change in the services that they are receiving. Next, Ms. Denny. Okay, so what is the impact that COVID had on our AG identification? Ms. Brown had a chat at the beginning of the year where we had some AG parents to ask questions about this. So we kind of explained everything. As we know, there were no EOGs at the end of the year, and so the district used the data from the previous school year to determine placement for your students this school year. So if your child was identified in third, fourth grade, then that was the plan that was used, or those were the grades that were used for placement for sixth grade. If your child was already identified in sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, then that service just maintained when they moved to the next grade. The AG department thoroughly reviewed the 2019 EOG data for all students who took the assessment, like we said, in 2018. No new AG identifications can occur or have occurred until the AG department has new data. So we do hope that there will be EOGs this year, but that decision will be made by someone else. And then we just take direction from there. If there is data, then that is what they will use to determine placement and identification for next year. And I also want parents know that the district tells us placement for math. They do allow teachers or principals to make a recommendation, but all placement for math really comes from the district. Placement for ELA comes from the school. So that will be, again, based on test scores, based on teacher recommendations, things of that nature. Next, Ms. Denny. All right, so we have just a few more things to mention. Enrichment opportunities for your students. Hopefully, many of you have heard of the Duke TIP program. I am an AG parent, and I heard about it, I think, when my oldest was in 7th or 8th grade, but I really didn't understand too much about it, but it's a great program that's out there. So if your student scored in the 95th percentile or higher or they got 125 or above on an IQ test, they qualify for to participate in the Duke TIP program. There are some other indicators, like if you have a third grader and they scored 95th percentile when they get to sixth grade, they can participate in the programs that Duke TIP has to offer. There are some things that they are doing virtually for third, fourth, and fifth grade. But right now, I think they are on hold because their program is under reevaluation. They're trying to figure out how to better service all students in their program. So it would be fourth through sixth grade, and then the middle school grades, sixth, seventh, and eighth. There isn't a ninth to 12th grade Duke TIP program, not at this time, but the district provides access to another program. We can pull the next screen, Ms. Denny. The other program is called Academic All-Star Camp. Mm-hmm. And the difference between Academic All-Stars and Duke TIP is that your child does not have to be identified AG to participate in Academic All-Stars. It looks at the top, let's see if it's on the screen. It looks at the top, I think, 5 or so % of students across the board. So again, your child could qualify to participate in the program. They don't have to be identified as academically gifted. It is for rising ninth graders. It is a camp that is in conjunction with the Guilford County Page chapter that we had mentioned earlier. And eighth grade students from each middle school are selected to participate based on the previous year grade, end of grade scores. Oh, here it is. It's the top 30 students from each middle school. So the camp is held obviously during the summer, and they have to attend every day in order to receive the services. But they do STEM, they do different projects, they have trips that they take. It's really a great opportunity for all of the students. As far as I know last year Academic All-Star Camp was put on hold because of COVID, and we have not received any notification so far for this year. But if your child qualifies, you will be receiving a notification from me. Once I get the list, myself and Miss Murray, the 8th grade counselor, we sit down, and there is a letter that is sent out to the parent of all the students who qualify to participate in that summer program. It is for 3 weeks, and like I said, they have to attend every day. Next, Miss Danny. On the screen, we have just a few because I've been getting a lot of questions about clubs. And while we don't have any answer just as yet, because as we know, our students are not coming back until January, we do recognize that that social piece, they really are missing out on socializing with their friends. So the clubs that we have had in the past, Battle of the Books, Miss Denny is the contact person for that. Girls Who Code, Ms. Holmes and Ms. Denny. Mr. Avent is in charge of our anime club. Ms. Murray, our 8th grade counselor, she is the facilitator for National Junior Honor Society. And we also have a peer mediators group. It's just like it says, it's a group of students who go through training so that they can help mediate in conflicts with their peers. So myself, Ms. Murray, and Ms. Fox, who is our social worker, we run that particular group. So while again, we don't know when our clubs will start back, we do recognize that that is something that our children are definitely missing out on. So we're just trying to figure out what clubs will look like virtually. I'm sure that Ms. Brown will communicate to all parents once it has been determined what we can do and how we can start back. Next, Ms. Denny, I think it's our last one. Yes, so I want to thank everyone for joining us. There is a link on the screen that I'm asking you to go to because we have to take attendance for this meeting. It's a mandatory meeting that we have to have every year. It's just going to ask you a couple of questions, and your submission is your attendance for this evening. And again, I just want to thank everyone. Please remember, if you have any questions about your child's services, about their assignments, about anything, you have a host of people that you can reach out to. If you don't know who your child's AG teacher is or are, please let me know and I can make sure that you hear from them. But any one of us on this panel, our principal, our assistant principals, will be more than happy to help you and your student this school year and going forward. So with that, we don't have any questions, Mr. Avant?
There was just one asking for your email address. Is that okay if I put it in there?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yep. So with that, we will say thank you and good night. And this will be posted probably, what do you think, Ms. Denny, by tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am. I should have it up sometime tomorrow morning.
Awesome. So it'll be posted on the school's website under Parents, under AG Parents, for those who were not able to attend, but they can definitely review the slides. Thank you again, parents. Thank you again, teachers. Thank you so much, Ms. Danny. Thank you, Ms. Brown.
You're very welcome.
You guys have a wonderful night.
Have a great night.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Good night, everybody.